Ukrainian politicians have questioned the approach of US officials in peace talks due to the influence of Russian ideology, social media and business ties to Moscow. That is from the US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his team. Speaking at the UK Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, both UK and Ukrainian MPs called for the UK to do more in dealing with Vladimir Putin's invasion. I'm joined now by Richard Ford, a Liberal Democrat MP and a former British Army officer who was at that meeting of both Foreign Affairs committees today. And just to be clear, Richard, if it wasn't already, Ukrainian politicians believe that the US team working on a peace deal has been influenced by Russian disinformation and is to some extent ignorantly peddling it.
Well, good evening, Kate. I mean, I think the first thing I should say is this is a meeting of two Foreign Affairs committees, so two sets of backbench MPs, albeit that we have expertise on foreign affairs. So I suppose I should say that the MPs who we were talking to today weren't talking directly on behalf of the Ukrainian government, but yes, they were giving a bit of an alternative perspective on how they see things in Ukraine and how they see things in relation to the peace talks right now.
Yeah, OK. Let's just dig into one of the big takeaways. And this is that Ukrainian politicians believe that the US administration, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is someone who's named here, that they've been taken in by Russian falsehoods an ideology because they've got business ties to Moscow?
Well, I mean, I think one of the reasons that we had this meeting, one of the reasons that the British Foreign Affairs Committee in the UK Parliament wanted to meet with our counterparts from Ukraine is because we've been doing an inquiry into misinformation and disinformation. And so what we were discussing was how the deliberate attempts by Russia to influence the narrative elsewhere is happening and how, in some cases, it's succeeding. I think what we in the UK and on our Foreign Affairs Committee have looked at so far is the effect of disinformation on the public, not just in the UK, but around the world. And we do know that disinformation does have an effect. I mean, it's not a good idea to repeat the disinformation because you're essentially just giving it oxygen. But if I talk about, some of the more madcap things that are coming out here, there was a suggestion from Russia that when the leaders of France, Germany, and the UK were on a train to Kyiv for a recent meeting, that they were taking cocaine. And as evidence, there was a photo of what looked like a white bag. It was a tissue on a table. But this was used on Twitter on a Russian X account and circulated to suggest that the sort of principal leaders of Europe were all off to Kyiv for some sort of drug-fueled party.
Yeah, look, I mean, I totally appreciate the importance of trying to combat misinformation, disinformation. Absolutely. I don't think anyone is going to argue with that. But in this joint session, politicians from Kyiv asked for British support, did they not, in correcting the team of Trump who believed some of the different disinformation given to them by Russia. And I've mentioned Steve Witkoff, and I'll expand on that. So he appeared in March to repeat Kremlin falsehoods about a series of things. He accepted sham Russian referendums in Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine that said that the majority of people wanted to be under Russia's rule. That's what Russia say. We've held a referendum in those areas, and those people want to be ruled by Russia. Sham referendums, the result not to be taken seriously. And yet Steve Witkoff, who is part of trying to create and trying to make peace between Russia and Ukraine, he is peddling that. He is saying the same thing, and he's not being corrected. And Ukraine today, did they not ask the UK to step in?
I think it's fair to say that they definitely want us, the UK, to use what influence we have with the United States to influence the US government and some sort of really senior Republicans in their in their perspective on the war in Ukraine.
How do you do that, Richard? How do you do that? How do you impress upon the US administration?
Well, there are definitely ways in which even I, as a backbench MP, can do that. As the Foreign Affairs Committee, we will be going, all of us, to the United States at the beginning of June. We'll be talking to counterparts from the US. We hosted senators, Congress people from the Republicans and the Democrats here in the British Parliament just a couple of weeks ago. I'm on the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, so I meet with US counterparts there. So by way of talking to the sort of our opposite numbers, we can influence their perception of the war. I mean, in a sense, Trump is plainly trying to do something different by talking directly to Putin and to senior Kremlin figures. The trouble is that there have been lots of resets in the past. If we think about the Obama team trying to have a reset with Russia and with Putin in 2010, if we think even more recently about how European leaders sought in the run-up and in the wake of the invasion in February 2022 to engage with Putin, people feel that somehow they're going to do things differently, that they will get Putin to see sense. And frankly, it's not happening. So, yes, we do need to talk to counterparts in the US about it.
Just a quick one on the exclusive from the Times of Defence editor Larissa Brown, who reports that the Donald Trump administration is putting increased pressure. It wants Britain to bolster its defence spending by tens of billions of pounds to set an example in Europe. This would mean the UK not just having the ambition of hitting 3% by the end of this Parliament in 2029, but by making a firm commitment to that. Do you agree with that? Do you think that makes sense?
I think it does make sense, Kate. We've got to increase defence spending in Europe, and the UK has been at the forefront of European countries in increasing defence spending. I mean, I was supportive of the government announcement to move from 2.3 to 2.5% of our national income on defence. In terms of how we would get there from 2.5 to 3%, it's a very big jump. Plainly, it would cost billions of pounds. And I don't think any one party has got the solution to how we would find that money right now. But because it's in the national interest to do that, and because we need to show leadership in sort of European states within NATO, I think we've got to find a way. And we in the Liberal Democrats will definitely get together as soon as counterparts from Labour and the Conservatives are prepared to have those cross-party talks. You
could suggest an enhanced trade deal, a little bit more to that trade deal between the United States and the UK as a financial incentive to get some of the billions of pounds raised that would mean Labour could make that firm percent of 3% of GDP on defence by 2029, the end of this Parliament. Good to speak to you. Thank you. Richard Ford, Liberal Democrat MP, former British Army officer. Thanks for being with us.